Tonight we're going in depth on something happening right now, what many of us call back to school tax-free weekend, except you can't buy school supplies tax-free, just certain other items. The official name of the weekend is actually Oklahoma Tax-Free Holiday 2025. Real appealing, right? Stores have used this time to not only offer sales on top of the no sales tax. Some of the confusion about the purpose of this came about a long time ago when stores began marketing this time as a time to get discounted clothes for kids headed back to school. In reality, the only things you can buy tax-free are clothes and shoes selling for less than $100. You can shop in person and online. But what if you could buy school supplies tax-free this weekend? Joining me on the program tonight to speak unedited is Oklahoma City Republican State Senator Kristen Thompson, who has a bill in progress at the state capitol that will make school supplies tax-free this time next year when this weekend rolls around again. So, Senator, it's called Back to School Tax-Free Weekend, but obviously we can't buy school supplies. Is it in the law as Back to School Tax-Free Weekend, or did we just start calling it that?
You know, statutorily, it's tax-free holiday, the weekend, actually in statute. I think the nomenclature has just kind of evolved with the public, but you're exactly right. It's really not a tax-free weekend, truly, because there are still school supplies that are taxed. So Senate Bill 231, we're going to add those school supplies. We've got sports and recreational equipment, arts, things like that. Immediate relief for Oklahoma families trying to get these kiddos back to school.
So it's not. I was shocked to hear sports equipment as well, and the extracurriculars. That's crazy.
Yeah. You know, everything is still capped at $100 or less, but really, you know, sports equipment and things of that nature, it's so important for after school programming, right? We want our kids to have access to opportunities. We know that sports give these kiddos an opportunity for team building. They're learning life skills. They're learning to persevere through challenges and really dig deep and find out what they're made out of. And those are skills that will carry them through their entire lives. And so I think that's a really important piece of this bill.
I imagine y'all get this question a lot as to why can't I do this already? Is that right?
Yeah, and the reason that we can't do this already is because we have not passed it through the state legislature. So hopefully we'll get that done in the upcoming session that starts in February.
You're a mom of kids. Is this savings I will feel?
Yes, actually. So I have 3 kids going into 2nd grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. And I just last week finished up our back to school shopping, and my receipt shows about $14 in savings for my 8th grader, and then a little over $10 in savings for my 2nd grader. The high schoolers, you know, they work a little bit differently. They'll get their syllabus for their class, and then we'll go here in a couple of weeks. But $25 essentially in savings, that is nothing to turn our nose up at. That is very impactful, immediate relief, not only for my family, but for other families. You can roll that into additional school supplies, shoes, things like that, or maybe even a meal, right? So anything that families can save on their bottom line, I think is good policy.
Let me play devil's advocate for a moment.
Sure.
Cities need this sales tax money for their basic operations. They don't really have other funding sources. Why give a tax-free holiday at all if this goes towards police and fire and streets and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're already doing it for clothing, right? And so it's 48 hours essentially of no tax for increasing buying power and things like that in the state. If you want to look at it from an economic standpoint, right? I always encourage folks to shop at their local independent shopkeepers. And so if we are spending our money in our local economy, that is going to come back, even if it is just for a small period of tax relief where we do have no sales tax. I think people are going to spend more that weekend. That money is going to go directly back into the shops and back into our local economies. It is a very small window, and so I think the impact that it has for families is a fair trade-off.
What I saw when the grocery sales tax repeal was being underway, we'll just say, everyone was nitpicking, well, you know, this is a cold item, this is a hot item. Is this going to get that complex when it comes to, okay.
No, and we'll actually send you the document. So these these parameters are clearly defined in a tax agreement. It's a multi-state agreement. And so I did not come up with the definitions. I actually was able to look into, hey, what do kiddos actually need to get back into the classroom? What is going to ensure their success during the school year? We've got to have pens, we've got to have paper, right? Pencils, backpacks, that type of thing. And so I was able to look through this document. And so those are the parameters that we use to form this bill. But we'll send that to you.
Does do other states do back to school tax free, or would we be one of the first?
Other states do, but I don't actually know the details of those other states. But I think Texas is next weekend. And I don't know if school supplies are covered in that or not, but I think theirs is next weekend.
So was this considered last session and it just didn't make it, or is this fresh for next session?
Yeah, I filed this last year. This bill was double assigned. It made it through our Revenue and Taxation Committee, and so it's eligible to be heard in full appropriations. So I'm optimistic we'll get that heard and through committee. It's a common sense measure that really does help everyday Oklahoma families. I'm an everyday Oklahoma mom, and so I know what it means for my pocketbook. I know what it'll mean for other Oklahomans, and so I'm optimistic that we'll see some movement on this year. And then next year, for back to school for the 26-27 school year, hopefully we can have tax-free pencils and paper.